going to be using some GW Cantor Blue. I went in and base coated with Mechanicus Standard Gray, which is a great base color, I guess very similar to the old Codex Gray of yesteryear there. I am going to use the airbrush to create that base coat right in there and up here on the horn. And just get a nice lay down of these colors, come back and fade it with that gray a little bit. Got the base coat all done all the way around. And now it's time for the second coat, which is going to be this very bright Lothran blue from Citadel Air. Starting about halfway down and fading up towards the tip there. Starting to look a little icy, right? But what we're looking for, just some really solid highlights, kind of concentrated in a couple places, but with some overspray too. Here you can see the rest of the highlights. So we went from Lothran Blue. Our next highlight up is going to be Ulthan Gray, another airbrush paint. So you don't have to do too much prep work, just make sure your airbrush is clean. And now we're just going to come in and we're going to hit even more sectionalized, kind of just the tip, so to speak, of these highlights than what we hit with the Lothran, just to get that icy look right there. Boom. And then you can always just hit the air on your airbrush just to dry things off. Now what's cool about this Ulthan Gray also is that it's not a white, it's a gray. So you can actually come in and do all the hyper highlighting and everything with a white paint and it'll show up over this gray. So there are the Ulthan Gray highlights. You can tell they definitely really make this thing pop, kind of almost make it look like an icicle, but there's still a little bit of overspray, which we're going to get off with the glaze. But before that, I want to do some cutbacks with Cantor Blue. We're going to add a little bit of black to it. Any black, airbrush black is fine. We're going to get in there and kind of create a little bit more definition where there might be a little too much overspray, like up here on this horn, and really do some work. Okay, so we cut it all back and it looks fantastic. Now the next step is just hitting it with some semi-gloss varnish from Model Masters. And go hose it down, let it dry overnight, come back and do some glazes on it. So we got that semi-gloss coat on here, and now it's time to give this a glaze and bring it all together and make it pop with the rest of the model. And to do that, we're going to use Drakenhof Nightshade. We're going to make a glaze out of it. So we're just going to take about 2 drops of the Drakenhof, boom. And then we're going to take our 50-50 mix of Future Floor Wax or Pledge with Floor Wax. We're just using a big flat chisel. And you work one area at a time until it dries to completion. And, well, mostly completion. And just kind of keep working it. So the work is complete. As you can see there, it really brings out the pop in it and the contrast. So the only step that's left is doing some hyper highlight. We are using the Ulthan Gray Citadel. I've got a super tiny layer brush here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to hit some intersections to really make it look like an ice effect. And we're just going to hit the very raised edges. We're not going to do the whole thing. We're not going to get crazy with it because it's going to look like Tron. So there it is, the finished product, all hyper highlighted up with lots of definition given off and contrast right there. It almost looks like real ice, almost. That's it for this one, folks. I hope you enjoyed my how to paint realistic ice on your models tutorial. Spiky bits.